Good evening, everybody. Kevin J. Johnston here. Welcome to episode number 51 of the Tax and Money Show. That is correct. The Tax and Money Show is happening tonight. We're going to be talking about stop getting ripped off by your boss and the Canada Revenue Agency. Wow. So there's a lot to cover in tonight's show, everybody. It's been an unbelievable time. I do apologize that we've had a few issues here with the PC not working properly, but I think we solved them all, and we're set to talk for the entire evening on some very serious problems. All right, I'm just going to come right out and say it. We have a serious issue in Canada, not just with the Canada Revenue Agency. We have a serious issue with a severe lack of manliness, a severe lack of masculinity. I'm gonna tell a story. All right, this has been going on for the last little bit now with a client of mine, and this client of mine is guy my age. I'm 53. This client of mine is just about the same age, and he is working for a company that he owns. That is correct. He owns his own business. The guy is a contractor. And as the contractor, he would be looking to purchase items from various locations and sell them to people. So what does that mean? When you're a contractor who installs floors for a living, you're probably going to go to a flooring supply depot. At least anybody who wants to make money would do it that way, because you're certainly not going to just make it up as you go along. You're going to go to the supply depot and you're going to buy what's needed. And in some cases, what you will be doing is working closely with the supplier. So let's just say, for argument's sake, I decide to go to Home Depot and buy carpet and then install it in someone's house and mark up the carpet, let's say 20, 30%, and then charge for my labor on that carpet. I'm going to make a couple of bucks. I am not working for Home Depot. If I went to Rona is the other big one in Canada, or Lowe's in the United States, if I went to any of those and bought carpet and installed it, I most certainly I would not be working for either one of those companies either. When you buy something from somebody, you don't work for that company. And if you choose to mark it up, that is entirely on you. You still don't work for the manufacturer of the carpet, and you don't work for the store that you bought it from. That's just how it is. And if, let's say, Home Depot or Aikenheads or Rona or any of the other guys that are out there were to state that you do work for them, well, they're actually committing fraud, because money is going to be changing hands in some way, shape, or form if someone is lying and saying that you work for them when indeed you don't. What I mean by that is, if, let's just say, everybody watching this show right now, if I were to state that all of you were working for me and I was writing off your earnings as if you were working for me, I've got a tax benefit to that. And I am a liar, and I would be a fraudster, and I should be punished severely by the law if I'm going to be lying to everybody, the government and someone else, stating that you work for me when you really don't. All right, what I mean by that is, if I were to say that any of you watching the show right now worked for me, and I wrote down on my tax return that you worked for me, you're going to get taxed by the CRA, by the Canada Revenue Agency, and I get to write that off. But I'm writing off, it's pretty much a criminal act. And you're going to be paying the price for my insolence in stating that you work for me when you really don't. So whenever you buy something from anybody in Canada, you do not work for that company. You're simply a customer. You could also be known as a contractor. That is fine, but you still don't work for the store. Doesn't matter what you buy. You buy gum, you buy drugs, you buy Coca-Cola, you buy Pepsi, so we don't have preferences. You buy yourself a hamburger. You do not work for the retailer. You're a customer. Well, I have a client that came to me, again, my age, who is having some serious tax issues. Now, I've got permission to tell the story minus his name, but in this tax issue that he's having, we went through all of his files, and the numbers didn't match up. Sometimes when we're doing taxes for people, we can't figure out why numbers don't line up. So we spend more time on it. A lot more time on it. And it gets a little frustrating sometimes because there are some tax returns that just don't make any sense at all. So we'll go through them, and then a second time, and then I'll say to my CPA, well, could you check this out? Because it ain't jiving with me. I send it off to my accountant. She looks at it. She can't figure it out. So we have to assume that something is excessively and extremely wrong with that tax return, which is fine. This is what I sign up for. So when I tell you that you're paying a certain price to get your taxes done, I'm not going to up the price because it's harder work. That's not what I do. And I'm not complaining. This is not a complaint. I'm not saying it sucks to do extra work. I don't shy away from hard work. But when something doesn't make sense, my detective brain kicks in. Many of you know that I used to be an investigative journalist. I used to do private investigations in my 20s. I did process serving court papers. We did skip tracing, looking for people all over the world. It was a lot of fun. And I do have an investigative style brain. I'm always looking for answers where they may or may not exist. Well, we tracked down an issue for this client. And that issue was that this client was listed as an employee of a store that he has never worked for. And they had put down what are called a T4A. Now in Canada, not the United States, we're talking Canada now, when you are employed by somebody, at the end of the year, they're going to give you a T4 slip, which says, we are X company, and John Smith works for us, and John Smith made this, and we deducted this much tax from John Smith and all the things that go with it. So that T4 slip is your employer snitching on you to the Canada Revenue Agency about how much money you have made. And when they do that, well, when you snitch on yourself, the only thing that the CRA is going to do is find some way to screw you and take your money. That's what they do. That's what these people, they're evil as hell. That's what they do. All right, let's go back to it now. The client in question has, for the last 8 years, gone to a place called Ritchie's, Ritchie. And for those who are watching here, I'm going to show you an image of it. This is the Ritchie's logo. They're out on the East Coast. They're in New Brunswick. And Ritchie's is a flooring supplier. That's what they do. They supply flooring. They have a lot of products in there. They're kind of like a Canadian Tire or who else would they be like? No, that's pretty much it. They would be like a Canadian Tire. For our American friends, a Canadian Tire is a place they usually have a mechanic shop, and they have a whole bunch of mid-range, mid-grade stuff for sale. Sports gear, camping gear, stuff for your home and whatnot. It's all pretty mid-range. Well, that's what Ritchie's is. They've got a lot of mid-range stuff, and they have some higher end stuff. This is another version of it here. And here's a couple of the clowns that run this place. My understanding of this Ritchie's store is with them functioning in Roths. First off, they're in St. John, New Brunswick on Rothsay Avenue. They're also in Moncton, New Brunswick on Plaza Avenue, and they're in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. They've got 3 locations. We're talking about the Moncton, New Brunswick store right now. I can't even tell this story and take it seriously, you know? It's just so irritating. So what happened is they got audited 15 years ago. I'm going to back the story up a little bit here. They get audited 15 years ago, and it scared the hell out of them. Strange how this group of millionaires, a couple of brothers, the Ritchie brothers, a couple of brothers who are multimillionaires are afraid of one little old auditor. And this auditor goes through their store and, like a bitch, these guys did everything this auditor told them to do. Show me your records, show me your books, show me your cash, show me your client list, show me your supplier list, show me everything. Everything I want to see, show me, show me, show me. And they did. And they ended up paying a lot of money because they were stupid, didn't get a lawyer. Now, they should have lawyered up for that. They didn't kick the guy out of their store. They didn't have a security guard there to say, buddy, you got to go. They didn't make any phone calls of any kind to anybody. They just completely cooperated with this auditor. Now, here was the problem with what this auditor had done. The auditor told them, oh, you've got guys, contractors that come here and buy stuff from you. And do you sometimes get these contractors to do work for your store? They said, yes. And then the auditor asked if these contractors work independently. Like, do they actually register corporations or register companies and just buy supplies from you and then go out and do the job? They said, yes. Now, the auditor lied at this point. The auditor says, well, if you have any contractors that are buying supplies, you need to put them down on what is called a T4A slip, which in Canada is the same as a T4. And it says that you make commission. So it's your earnings. It's you snitching on yourself, saying that you make commissions. Please tax me on these commissions. But the problem is this CRA auditor told the store to lie and commit fraud so that the Canada Revenue Agency could make more money. So for the last 15 years, this Richie's floor supply place, cowards, absolute cowards, have been putting T4A slips out on all of their customers. Yeah. So if you're a customer of this Richie's place in Moncton, New Brunswick, they literally are listing you down as an employee of them on commission sales. So if you ever wonder why, as a purchaser of goods from this Richie's chain, why your tax bill is so high, it's because they're lying. It's because they're actually telling the Canada Revenue Agency that you work for them. So I wanted to do my clients' taxes, and I realized, here's something that has to happen, is I'm going to put forward a series of legal documents when I do this tax return for the guy, stating that there is no T4A. It is completely fraudulent, and we have to file a police report, which I will. And I'm going to tell the Canada Revenue Agency, you cannot allow these T4A slips, which state that my client who's never worked for this store is going to be taxed by this store. Got to cancel them. Cancel the T4As. That's what the store has to do. So I made a polite phone call to this Richie's place, and I end up getting the name of Tracy Delahunty. Tracy Delahunty. And I make a phone call, and I'm very, very prim and proper and polite. And I just introduce myself as the tax agent and legal agent for my client. And I explain that we have a slight problem here, that there appears to be a clerical error. I never come out and just accuse people right off the bat. I say, we have a clerical error here. It would appear that you have mistakenly put down my client as an employee of your corporation. And I'm wondering if we could get that corrected, please. Boom. She just starts screaming at me, this chick. I'm not going to repeat all the stuff that she said, aside from the gist of the story, which is, we're not going to do that. We got audited. We're never going to get audited again because of you. We're not going to reverse that. We're not going to cancel the T4As. He works for us. I said, well, I'm afraid you're wrong. Well, it's the government. You have to do what you're told. Now, God knows how many times I've heard that in doing taxes for Canadians. Someone tells me that you have to do something because the CRA is the government and you got to do what the government says. No, you don't. You've got the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you to either put you in prison or take your money. So shut up. Stop talking. So I explained, look, that's actually incorrect. And the T4As that you're issuing are, unfortunately, in your case, fraudulent, which opens you up to lawsuits. And when I cancel them with the CRA, you're going to get audited. They're not going to know why it's being canceled. So the first thing to do is they're going to call me to audit my client. I'm going to say, nope, you're not going to audit my client. Not now, not ever. So then they'll go to the store and they'll audit you and you've already cooperated with them before, you believe that you have to, so you're going to go through another audit. And when you've got a store that's equally as big as most Home Depots out there, the auditors will take their time. They'll spend weeks there. They'll cost you time and money and effort and irritation, because it is really irritating to have one of these jerks in your place, in your place of business when you're trying to do business. There's nothing worse than someone asking questions that are completely irrelevant to the task at hand. Now, with me, the task at hand is making money. It's making money. When I'm talking to clients, they're paying me for my time. We get them tax money back. They pay me for my services. I'm making money. My clients are making money. If someone's asking me to do something for them, like, I don't know, fold the laundry or do the dishes or whatever, that don't make money. So the answer is no. Well, occasionally I get phone calls from some branches of the Canadian government wanting to talk to me about my attitude problem. I say, look, guys, this ain't going to make me money. So no, I'm not spending time with any of you. Yeah, whenever the government of Canada calls me, I always tell them, it's guys, I charge $300 an hour for my time. So if you got a Visa or MasterCard, we're going to run that for you now, and then we can have a conversation, to which, of course, they always say no. So we want to make sure when you're a client of mine that you're never dealing with auditors. Well, this store is now going to have to deal with an auditor. She says to me on the phone that, look, honey, I've been doing this for 10 years. I know everything about taxes. That's what it sounds like. I said, well, if you've been doing taxes this way for 10 years, with all due respect, you've been doing them wrong. We put auditors in prison who harass my clients. That's how it works. No, you don't. Well, yeah, we do. I'm a private investigator by trade. I'm a tax expert here. We hunt them down. We file charges. We make sure it goes all the way through. At the same time, we cancel the audit. So you don't have to put up with an auditor in the future at all. In fact, I can help you keep these auditors away. But right now, my concern is my client. I'm being polite. My concern is my client. Could you please just cancel these T4A slips? He does not work for you. Then she pulls the same crap that every feminist out there always pulls when they are losing an argument or they have nothing further to add, but they still want to win. She says to me that, oh, you're just being too aggressive. You're too aggressive for me to talk to. I'm going to have to end this call. I said, no, you're being aggressive. I'm actually afraid of you, and I'm going to end this call. So I ended the call first. I always repeat back the words of feminists whenever they throw nonsense at me, which is exactly what she did. So you would figure at this particular point, I'm going to bypass the accountant for this company, and I'm going to call the multi-millionaire owner of the place, the Ritchie brothers. Supposedly they're men. Well, we know differently now. I call, I don't get through. I call again, and this secretary guy sounds like a teenager, poor guy, he's caught in the middle, but I could hear one of the Ritchie brothers in the background saying, no, I don't want to talk to him. You get rid of him. I don't want to talk to him. Dude, for real, it's your store. It's your company. Take the phone call. So I have to explain myself to this kid. I'm very polite. I said, please have the owners call me. The owner does not call me. The owner calls, ready for this, my client, to raise his voice to my client, to state that apparently I threatened this woman. Now, I've got it all recorded. I record every call I make, especially when I know I'm calling a potential feminist. All right, I protect myself huge with these things. And said that I threatened her and so on, and that I'm never to call their place again and so on. My client even said, look, don't call me. Kevin's my representative. Call him. But please, if you could, cancel the T4s. They won't do it. They won't do it. So I call back. And as I'm calling back, I'm getting the same runaround. So these millionaire supposed men, and let me put them on the screen for everybody to see. There we go again. These supposed men won't take a phone call from a guy on a phone. Now, it's not like I can shoot them through the phone. It's not like I'm going to stick my hand through the phone and wring their necks. It's just not how it works. All you got to do is just take a phone call and say, hey, hi, what's the beef? How can I help you? How can we help not cause any trouble for ourselves? let's figure this out. That's what men do. But we don't have men in Canada anymore. So instead, they get their lawyer to send me an email. Thinking, all right, so fine. The lawyer sends me an email and there's nothing in the email. Thinking, okay, I've got to say something here. So I write the following letter. Now, none of this is meant to be offensive to anybody. This is education. When all of you are getting screwed over by your employers doing foolish things like this, I'm showing you the process that I go through. So here's the letter, everybody. Urgent legal notice, action required to prevent a CRA audit to Adam Ritchie and Trevor Ritchie, the two millionaire supposed men running this company. Dear Adam and Trevor, my name is KevinJJohnston. I act as the legal agent and tax strategist for none of your business. I have been retained to oversee and resolve matters relating to my client's taxation and legal affairs. Upon reviewing my client's personal portfolio and taxation history, we are prepared to complete his tax filings within 2 days of resolving the current obstruction posed by T4 slips erroneously issued by your corporation. Polite, right? On January 27, 2025, I contacted Tracy Delhunty to request clarification on the existence of these T4A slips, which are obstructing my client's ability to file his personal taxes. During this conversation, Tracy volunteered unnecessary and inappropriate details regarding the inner workings of your corporation, which she did. Why is she telling me what's going on there? It's weird. Including past audits and fears of future audits, which she stated influenced her decision-making. She also incorrectly asserted that T4A cancellations were not permissible, demonstrating a fundamental misunderstanding of both bookkeeping and Canadian tax law. True story. Tracy further stated verbatim that it's the government and you have to do what they say. Now, if you've got someone like that working for you, fire them. They're useless. Suggesting a gross misrepresentation of the role and authority of the Canada Revenue Agency. For clarity, I will outline the relevant legal facts regarding the CRA. 1, the CRA is not a police force and has no criminal investigative authority. The CRA, 2, the CRA operates as a collection agency at arm's length from the federal government. 3, all decisions by the CRA are appealable in federal tax court, which has no authority to issue monetary penalties. 4, the CRA cannot access bank accounts, medical records, or private information without written consent. 5, CRA audits can be refused and auditors have no authority once you issue a no trespassing notice to them. Individuals and corporations have the legal right to remain silent, and auditors who violate your no trespass notice can be charged criminally and sued for tort harassment. Does anybody see anything wrong with this letter so far? To continue it, by issuing T4A slips to my client, your corporation has falsely classified him as an employee when he is in fact a sole proprietor operating under his own federal and provincial tax numbers. There is no employment agreement, record of employment, or contractual relationship between my client and your corporation that would support the issuance of a T4A tax slip. This action constitutes a fraudulent misrepresentation of my client's status and creates legal and financial complications for him. To resolve this matter amicably, I propose. All right. This letter has gone to Ritchie's Flooring in Moncton, New Brunswick, for those who are curious about that. So the immediate cancellation of the T4A slips, your corporation must cancel the T4 slips issued to my client and provide a letter on company letterhead acknowledging that the issuance was a clerical error. No big deal. This letter will be submitted alongside my client's tax return to the CRA to rectify the situation. This corrective action is legal, straightforward, and cost-free. It's free. It doesn't cost anything to fix a tax clerical error in Canada. All right? Nothing. Alternative resolution. If you choose not to cooperate, I will proceed to revoke the T4A slips on behalf of my client by submitting the necessary documentation and legal arguments to the CRA. This action will include notifying the CRA of the fraudulent classification, which will result in an audit of your corporation. Should this occur, I will provide full testimony supported by evidence to ensure that my client's legal rights are upheld. Because you got to remember, I don't care about Richies. They're not my client. I care about my client, the nice man that pays me to do this. Let me be clear. This is not a threat, but a statement of my client's legal rights and my professional responsibilities. Additionally, I must state that Tracy's behavior has been unprofessional and unbecoming of someone in her position. If my client decides to pursue legal action for tort fraud, I have already committed to representing him pro bono, which means free. And I will represent him free of charge, because this Tracy woman, she really got my back up. I mean, most of the time, the average person has no capacity to get on my nerves. But when you've got a hardcore fundamentalist, lunatic, feminist creep who wants to shout out that her 10 years of tax experience cooperating with the CRA somehow outdoes my 40 years of experience not cooperating with the CRA, well, yeah, my back's going to be up. But what got me the most with her conversation with me is when she pulled that crap, "You're too aggressive for me to talk to." I wish we were allowed to slap people that said that, because that is just the most crass thing that you can say to someone. You may as well just admit that you're a loser and you have no capacity to debate. Surrender at that point. So here we are talking about Richies, who doesn't want to be talked about. And I'm just getting started, by the way. So I tell them it's in your best interest and the interest of the corporation to resolve this matter promptly and correctly. Please provide confirmation of the T4A cancellations and the requested letter by February 3rd, 2025 to avoid further complications. Signed, me. All right. So again, you figure that the men, the brothers, these two names here, you've got Adam and Trevor Ritchie, Ritchie's Flooring. You figure that at this particular point, they would have the temerity, maybe, or just the bravery to contact me. You just say, look, oh man, this guy sent us a legal letter. He's accusing us of fraud. You know, why don't we call him and try to iron this out? That's the first thing I do. I try to iron it out. There's always a way to get things like this ironed out, but no, they've got stupid pride. Why? Because these two millionaire brothers apparently are beta cucks and allowed this feminist bookkeeper that they have get them in trouble. They sided with her. Fine, they're allowed to, but I'm pointing out that they're still committing fraud, whether they have silly pride or not. All right. So then their lawyer emails me again. And in this email, he's pretty short and sweet, but here we go. His name is Mark. You'll love this one, everybody. It's Mark D. And the last name is Tector. Mark Detector. Are you kidding me? That's this lawyer's name. He says, I am legal counsel for Richies, and I have been retained in relation to the above noted matter. That was the letter I sent in. I have your email and letter dated January 29, 2025. I am reviewing your letter with our client, and I am obtaining obstructions. In the interim, do not contact my client and do not make any further disparaging and unfounded comments against them or their employees. Regards, Mark Detector, partner at Stewart McKelvey Lawyers and Advocates. Advocates? I think he spelled that word wrong. I think advocate. Doesn't advocate have a D in it? I think it does. They forgot the D in their logo. The phone number is 902-420-3358. And he's got a cell phone number of 902-402-0101. All of this is going to be on freedomreport.ca afterwards if anybody wants to see it. And it's going to be on my website, KevinJJohnston.me. And you can read all of this nonsense for yourselves. So the lawyer, he does the right thing. He represents his client, and he's telling me that he's representing his client. He's telling me not to contact the client. Now, that is actually proper procedure. When you hire a lawyer or a representative or an agent, the agent is the one who speaks on your behalf. No big deal. That's okay. But to tell me not to make disparaging comments. Are you kidding me? If there's a beta cuck coward fraudster out there, you're all going to know about it. I'm not going to lighten my language and say, yes, we have a couple of males out there who may have made an inadvertent mistake, and they may have pride from old world, and that's impeding their capacity to make the correct decision, and we should forgive them. No, absolutely not. They are beta cuck coward fraudsters who have allowed a fraudster to run their accounting department, and they are defrauding dozens upon dozens upon dozens of hardworking contractors who are just customers. All right. So my reply, dear Mark, I wasn't going to put Mark Detector on this letter. Thank you for your letter acknowledging my legal demand. To clarify, I have no interest in engaging in discussions with your clients. My sole request has been explicitly outlined in my previous correspondence, and I expect it to be addressed accordingly. Right? There you go. Regarding any statements I have made, whether private or public, I am fully prepared to enter into a non-disclosure agreement, which is called an NDA, with your client, prohibiting me from making any future public statements about them from the date of signature forward, contingent upon their full compliance with my lawful and reasonable request. I trust this matter will be handled expediently. My name. Okay, nothing to argue with there. So what I'm saying here is that you have a couple of beta cuck fraudsters running this store, interfering with the tax return capacity of me, and literally lying to the Canada Revenue Agency about people who work for you that don't. And I'm going to tell the world about it. But had the lawyer read this letter and told his clients, hey, you know what? This big mouth, this big mouth from Canada that never shuts his big mouth, who's on the front page of every newspaper in Canada, will shut his big mouth, everybody, if you just cancel the T4As. I mean, if I was the lawyer, I would tell them, look, don't be a friggin' idiot. Just cancel the T4s and we'll draft the NDA and shut this guy up. That's fair, right? Well, not in Canada. You see, Canadians are not as smart as Americans when it comes to this whole NDA thing. Canadians have stupid pride. They get their backs up over nothing. And they always say, no, I'm not going to do anything he wants. Okay, fine. So I'm going to tell the whole world how much your company and you suck. That's my right. And I'm also doing it as a warning to all of you out there to pay attention to what your employers and your suppliers are doing, because it can really affect you negatively. So he comes back with this really short letter. Mark Detector tells me, we have now had an opportunity to review this matter with our client. The claims in your letter are without merit. Well, which claims? The claim that your client sucks, or the fact that the Canada Revenue Agency has no power whatsoever to force somebody to break the law? I mean, which one is wrong according to you and your client? So telling me that something is baseless, that it bothers me, not because I'm getting my back up. Lawyers are losers. Almost all of them are losers in Canada. They're not smart enough to get my back up. But the point is, this lawyer should have made a proper presentation to his client and explained it. He didn't. He comes back with this really short, terse, ridiculous nonsense. And now my client still doesn't have an answer. Again, it's my client. I care about my client. I do not care about this Richie's flooring supply shop run by beta cucks. So I had to send him a letter. I send him another one. Now, it's a bit of a lengthier letter, but it was necessary to send this because I must do everything I can for my client before we involve auditors of the CRA to penalize his supplier. Good morning. To the lawyer, Mark Detector. Good morning. I'm not entirely sure if you're actually doing your job or just taking money from your client. However, since everything I say has merit and your client is openly refusing to undo the fraudulent reporting that they have done, I will go ahead and trigger an audit against Richie's with the CRA, which is what I'm going to do. It is exactly what I'm going to do. Now, you've never heard me say that I'm going to cooperate with the CRA in any way. I'm going to cooperate with the CRA on this one. At this point, your client is fraudulently laying claim that my client is a staff member so that they can, ready for this, so that they can engage in higher write-offs, which I am calling exactly what it is, tax fraud. I will go ahead and have the T4As canceled without your client's involvement. And as much as I hate the CRA, I guarantee you I will cooperate with them fully to ensure that the audit against your client is extremely fruitful for the CRA. You should pay attention to Proverbs. I wrote an amazing one as I grew up in a country whose main export is cowardice. When you make a decision based on fear, it is 100% wrong 100% of the time. Tell your client, thank you very much for their time, and please wish them the best of luck with the audit that is coming soon. Should your client come to their senses, I won't be doing anything until Thursday of next week. So that's this Thursday, because I have other work to do. I'm not going to give you a deadline of any kind because I know your client is not smart enough to understand what a deadline really means. And thus you can count on this being our last communication unless you would like to talk your client into some sense and have them reverse their fraudulent way of doing business for my client only. All right? I don't care about the rest because they're not my clients. Also, without a court order registered in Bogota, Colombia, and Panama City, Panama, in those regions' proper courts, I will not be keeping my mouth shut. In fact, I plan to use your client as a case study in stupidity and an example as to why, when adults have fear, they fail. Letting you know in advance, I will ignore every Canadian court order that you get. Sincerely, me. Now, lawyers don't like it when you speak like this to them. So what does the lawyer do? He sends me a stupid letter. Here it is. Oh, not this one. It's this one. Please, mark detector again. Please see my earlier emails. Your allegations are without merit. My client reserves its rights in relation to any actions or defamatory statements you may make. First off, that's grammatically incorrect. My client reserves their rights. There you go. Not its, their. Okay, so I don't make defamatory statements. I use funny language to tell the truth. I can come right out and say, Richie's does not do business properly. That's not funny. But the millionaires who run Richie's Flooring Supply in Moncton, New Brunswick in Canada are a couple of beta cuck fraudsters who are absolutely gutless and will not take accountability for their illegal activity, and nor will they even pick up the phone when a gorgeous hunk of man looking like this makes a phone call to them to simply have them spend 5 minutes fixing a problem. My God, these guys at Richie's, this is their store one more time, right? I'm trying to understand how these guys got rich. And then I did some reading into the company, and they didn't do it. The brothers didn't do it. Their father did it. So these rich losers just got daddy's money when he died, and they're going to run this place into the ground because all they're doing is committing fraud. And they have a lawyer who's not doing his job. You know, your lawyer should really give you hell. When you're doing something stupid, it is your lawyer's job to say, look, yeah, I'm representing you, and you're this close to violating the law, so don't do it. Right? He's got to give you hell. Do you know, in Canada, whenever I would say something publicly, I would go to my lawyer and I would ask him, like, look at the script that I want to discuss tonight. Is there any chance that the Canadian government will hit me with a hate speech charge if I say any of this? And if he says there's even a 1% chance, I don't do it. I've got a lawyer on retainer so I can ask these questions and make sure that everything is going to be copacetic. Yeah. And when my lawyer says don't do something, yeah, all right, okay, I'm not going to do it. because I pay him to watch my back in the legal arena. That is his job. He does his job well so that I can do my job well, right? So let's continue here. With me getting such a short reply from this guy, there's the reply again. I thought, you know what? Obviously, these negotiations have completely broken down. They are not going to comply. So I'm going to go ahead and report fraud to the local authorities, and I'm going to report fraud to the Canada Revenue Agency, an institution I hate, an institution I never cooperate with at all. But because these people got my back up just a little bit, congratulations to them, I'm going to make sure that it happens. And if I need to be on the phone with the auditor, explaining everything to the auditor about these people, I am going to do so. It'll be the only time the CRA ever gets my cooperation. So I wrote a letter. Now, this one is less professional than most of the stuff I write. By my own admission, it's actually quite snarky. It was designed to be irritating because this lawyer is essentially saying, we're going to sue you for defamation if you tell the truth about our client, which I don't care about at all. There we go. So I say, dear lawyer, and I put the words without prejudice at the top of this letter, because in Canada, when you have the words without prejudice on a letter, it cannot be used as evidence in court because it's part of your negotiation to try to get to a settlement before court. That's what without prejudice means, everybody. All right, so I'm hoping that that legal term there makes sense. And by the way, nothing that I'm saying is legal advice. I am not a licensed lawyer. I'm just really good at legal documentation, and I'm really good in the courts because I've studied this stuff for 4 decades now. I hate it, but I know it. Well, actually, I shouldn't say I hate it because I like winning. I do like winning. I just hate the entire court system. But here we go. Dear lawyer, my allegations are fact. Let your client know that I will be helping others that they are double dipping on fight them in court if they choose to go the route of litigation. I will file a defense on any litigation your client files. I will not settle out of court. Should I lose, I will appeal. This will be as public as I can make it, and it will be very expensive for them. As I have studied law for 40 years, I have no legal fees. I'll be representing myself. Not true for your client. Side note, pride goeth before our fall. This woman that Richie Boys hired is really going to destroy them. Let them know that they should not act on her feelings because I won't be letting this one go. I'm going to use this case as an example of how not to behave in the accounting world and how to avoid eventually meeting me. That dumb working for them is dangerous as she is really stupid but believes herself to be a genius. She should be flipping burgers, not stealing from the CRA. I am not an unreasonable man. So this stupid shit ends upon cancellation of the illegally claimed T4As and possibly T5 forms for my client and my client only. When this is done, simply email me with Richie canceled in the subject line, and I will never need to communicate with you again. I will fix my client's taxes and move on. Let the Richie boys know that this can be solved with less than 30 minutes of effort, and that it will please me greatly to have this done right away. They really don't want me cooperating with the auditors of the CRA, which I will gladly do just to irritate that dumb ant they have working there. And that comes from the heart. Oh, yeah. They will most likely audit them all personally when I request them to, which I will. Do what you will, Kevin J. Johnston. So these Richie's people, really, they need to grow some balls. They need to grow some sense. They need to gain a little bit of business acumen. And if you ever want to keep yourself out of lawsuits, Canada, you got to think like an American. I know all of you are saying, I hate America. Why? Why? Americans know how to do business. This type of thing would not come up in an American company. I've dealt with American companies thousands of times. And whenever issues like this pop up saying, listen, we got a problem. You're committing fraud and we're going to report you to the IRS. Like, whoa, wait a second. What's the problem? They will actually try to work with you. In Canada, everyone just gets offended, especially feminists. And this is the stupid stuff they do. So the lawyer did not reply. I'm a little disappointed in that, but yeah, whatever. we did my client's tax returns as if he did not have a T4A form ever filed for him. And I am declaring in an affidavit, using all the legal knowledge that I have, to tell the Canada Revenue Agency that this stupid store, Richie's Flooring, is committing tax fraud. Now, here's the fraud, all right? Let's go back to the beginning of this story, where they got audited 15 years ago, and the auditor told them, if someone is buying supplies from you and they're a contractor, put them on a T4A. So the auditor told this store to break the law, and the store that did not get any legal advice has decided to break the law for 15 straight years by committing tax fraud times God knows how many people buy their supplies. Think about that. If I tell you to shoot somebody in the head and you do it, you go for murder 1, possibly murder 2. I go for solicitation of a crime and possibly accessory and possibly murder 2 as well. Don't think for a second that because someone else tells you to commit a crime that you're going to be absolved of it just by saying, I don't know. He told me to do it. Do you think really that's a defense in court? You're out of your friggin' mind if you think you're going to get away with using that as your defense. Not only are they breaking the law, but they are proud that they are doing it, and they are getting a lawyer now to assist them in breaking the law. So this lawyer that they're utilizing needs to go back to school, I think, because the next step for me is to start filing complaints with the Law Society of the province of New Brunswick to explain that this guy is giving them really bad advice and did nothing to solve this problem. Well, if anybody out there would like to call Richie's, let's bring the information up right now. I'm going to share the screen right now. Here it is, everybody. So I know you won't see it on, hold on, where are we there? No, wait, there we go. Boom. Let me just turn this off for you. So there's Richie's. They are in New Brunswick. Let me zoom in a little bit for you here. That's the store right there. Richie's Flooring Warehouse, 19 Plaza Boulevard, Moncton, New Brunswick. Okay, everybody out there who's watching on TikTok. Oh, sorry, guys. Is the audio better now? Is that a bit better for you? So everybody watching on TikTok, could you please put the phone number I'm going to dictate right now to you? 506 857 0400. All right. 506 857 0400. I'd like all of you to ask for Tracy Delahunty and ask her why she insists on committing fraud. Okay? Ask her. Don't be rude. Don't swear. Don't do any of this, but I need all of you to record these calls, because stores that do this type of thing to people are evil. It is evil to do this, but we don't have to be evil. We just have to play the game the right way. So I'd like to ask you all, give her a call. Tracy Delahunty. Tracy Delahunty. Give her a call at that phone number and ask her to cancel T4A forms for everybody who is a contractor, because it's illegal for them to double dip. Now, what do I mean by double dipping? Let me tell you right now. You see, these contractors in Canada, they're going to write an invoice. They'll write an invoice to this store for, let's say, $10,000 for services rendered. And then this invoice is also going to have the goods and services tax on it, which I think is 15% in that province. And the store will pay them, and they'll be able to write off that expense. It's a contractor expense. It's a contractual staff expense. But what they're also doing is using the T4A slip to write that off as well. So they get to write off the same guy's stuff twice while the guy who wrote the invoice is no longer able to use all the expenses he has to lower the amount of money that he's making on a job from this company. Think about that. So the store is double dipping, which means that the individual contractors get completely screwed on their taxes. Completely and totally screwed. So I need everyone to give them a phone call and ask them if they could please stop defrauding their contractors and record the call. And if anybody gets anything interesting out of these people, because they like to talk, they will probably share information with you. But everybody who's going to do this call, here's what's going to happen, okay? Either the funniest one that you record or the one that gets the most information. I'll play that one on the next show as a follow-up to this show, and you're going to get $100 of my own money. I'll send you $100 of my own money for being the winner, the one that gets the best stuff done. Now, I don't mean prank them. I don't mean phone them up and flush a toilet. That's dumb. What I mean is, when I say funny, is get them to react in a certain way where they're actually divulging information to you that they shouldn't be divulging. Because everybody on the East Coast of Canada, it's not that they're really, 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 really nice people. It's that they're just, in some cases, really dumb, and in many cases, drunk. There's a lot of alcohol abuse on the east side of the country. So these folks here are not going to be thinking all that clearly when they do this. Now, whilst we are reviewing this, don't call the lawyer yet. I don't want that done yet. But if this lawyer is going to be extremely unreasonable, I will deputize everybody here next week and then have you call this lawyer and record those calls. Because the only thing I've asked these people for is to cancel the T4A slip so that I can do my client's taxes legally, properly, efficiently, and today. Right? Now, I'm going to do my client's taxes anyway. I'm not waiting for these people. I will do them anyway, and I'll be putting forward the letter to the Canada Revenue Agency explaining that this place is committing tax fraud, and the CRA, they'll be all over it. And when they call me asking, would you like to bear witness? Would you like to assist us? Yeah, I would. I absolutely would. I'd like to also encourage people, if you could, please. And this is just a personal thing right now. And I'm going to be taking questions very shortly, everybody. So save your questions for about 15 minutes from now. But I don't have very many pet peeves. I really don't care what people do. It's none of my business. But something that I cannot stand is bad manners when bad manners are not necessary. You don't need to be flipping off at the gums rudely for no purpose whatsoever. You don't need to be walking around with your head held high saying, I know everything, so I'm going to give you a difficult time because I think I'm a genius. That pretentious belittling of people it's vile. It's extremely vile. And it is something that during my journalism days, I would not say a word about it except for continuing to put the microphone in people's faces during interviewing them. Because the more angry they got and the ruder they got, the funnier it was on YouTube and Rumble and all the other websites out there. It was good content for me to upset someone by just asking questions. But you see, I'm not a journalist anymore. And there's absolutely no reward whatsoever for me tolerating bad manners. And I won't. So if you're rude in my condo or my office or my car, I'm going to turf you. Just get out. We're done. If you're going to be rude on the phone or rude in a live video chat, I tolerate it if you're a client because you're paying me to listen to your rudeness, but I'm not going to tolerate it if I'm not being rewarded for it. And this group of excessively rude individuals running this store need to be punished. That's it. You know, Richie's, the whole, oh man, these people. Richie's Flooring Warehouse is what it's called in Moncton, New Brunswick. Again, there's the contact info, 19 Plaza Boulevard in Moncton, New Brunswick. You can call the two brothers there, Trevor and who? Adam and Trevor. Ask for them, or you can ask for Tracy Delahunty, the excessively rude individual that started this entire fight. She started this because she thinks that I would have cared that she's worked as a bookkeeper for 10 years. I've studied tax law for 40 years, and I'm the first one to say I know more than most, but I don't know everything. And anybody who says they know everything is an arrogant jerk, and just dust them, get them out of your life. Now, I'm going to, I know on TikTok and over here on Kick, you're not going to see this, but I'm going to explain it to you while I'm doing it. I'm going to share another screen now. And this here is me showing you just how easy it is for this store to have complied with me in the first place. Like, they're about to cost themselves a lot of money on this. Wow. Okay. This is someone called Lone Wolf. It's a tax community that they discuss a lot of things, tax and money. And I come to this one not necessarily as a resource, but I come in here a lot just to see what updates that they make, because these guys tend to aggregate everything from around the web. So T4 slips in Canada is what we get at the end of the year from our employers. The T4 slip will say how much money we've made. It'll tell the CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency, how much Canada pension plan was deducted, how much employment insurance was deducted, federal and provincial taxes, and any and all bonuses that were paid. It snitches everything on you. And the T4A is the same thing, except you don't really have a salary. It's more commissions, or I guess odd jobs that you're doing for the same company, where they want you to pay tax on what you've made. I mean, if you're a client of mine, you pay tax on nothing. I fixed that. But I'm just telling you what these forms are for the sake of education here. So now let's go to this form here, and it says to amend, cancel, or replace a T4 slip in Canada. Cancel a T4. Detailed steps. I click on it. So if you're preparing a T4 and you have any tax software at all that interfaces directly with the Canada Revenue Agency, you go to the top right corner where it says amend. You can click on the original, amended, or you can cancel it. You use this mouse and you cancel it. That's it. And then, look at that, everyone. It'll actually say canceled on the T4. That's not even 5 minutes. That's 30 seconds. That's all it takes to cancel a T4 or a T4A. And I cannot believe that these crazy fools over at Richie's Flooring want to commit fraud and tell me how difficult it's going to be for them to cancel these T4As that they are illegally imposing upon people who don't even work for them. There's this merry band of losers. I really hope that this cost them customers. Thanks, Joseph, for the hat. I appreciate that. I hope this cost them a lot of customers, because you just can't do this. All right. Maybe what we should do is talk freely now about one of the many reasons why I left Canada. For my American friends watching this show, I'm a Canadian citizen, born in Toronto, raised right next door in the city of Mississauga, which back in the 80s was a phenomenal place, and I wouldn't give you $5 for the entire city now. It's a dump. It is a dump. All right. I left Canada because you really cannot get anything going in Canada. It's very difficult to do business there. The taxes are out of control, unless you know me. The other problem, though, is Canadian arrogance. It's unprecedented everywhere in the world except for one other country out there, and that would be France. French people and Canadian people are arrogant to the nines. They think they know everything, and they act like they do, and they cannot wait to tell you how offensive they find you. You know, that doesn't make money. It's like Canadians are afraid to make money. Yeah. I swallow my pride when there's money on the table. Yeah. When I'm not sure you guys ever saw that show. It's called Hardcore Pawn. It was that guy Les with the slick back. He's bald here. He's got slick back hair. Him and his son and his daughter run a pawn shop. I think the place is probably closed now. But in Detroit, cameras would follow crazy people going into this pawn shop, and it's just nuts the way people would behave. But this guy, Les, I loved him on the show because he always told the truth. Hey, I see money on the table. You've got my interest. I want to make a deal. And I'm the same way. There's money on the table. I want to make a deal. Oh, what's that? You're asking me to fix a clerical error so that I don't have to spend $30,000 on a lawyer? Sir, have a seat. Let me get you a cup of coffee and let's fix this clerical error. And we get it fixed. And we shake hands. And I walk him out the front door politely. Why do I want to get my back up? If I'm going to get my back up, I'm not going to make money. Right? But if I keep calm and cool and collected, I will make money. Now, one thing that Canadians suck at more than anybody in the world is customer service. Customer service is absolutely the biggest key thing. I got an incredible speech from Rob Ford. Rob Ford is the former mayor of Toronto, the big guy that he had drug problems. I mean, he admitted to smoking crack because, like, physically his body was very ill. And his maniac brother, Doug Ford, is now the premier of the province of Ontario. But Rob Ford, he gave me a big speech about customer service. And he understood it well. And the way he explained it to me was it was genius. He handed me a business card. He says, I'm the mayor of Toronto. Here's my home phone number. Okay, thank you. People would call him wanting to get something done. So he would go through every message. He had a Rolodex. He showed me all this. He had a Rolodex where he would put everybody's name in and write down the problem. He would call the appropriate people, send the city staff member out to get it fixed. He would call the person back and say, did the pothole get filled? Did your fence post get replaced? Is the electricity back on? This is what this guy would do. That's customer service. And he's a politician teaching the world about how important customer service is. It is important. Return emails, even if you don't have an answer. Make phone calls, even if you don't have an answer. Return faxes, return letters, return whatever it takes. You know, with me, I go through my client list, and even if I don't have the job done, I just call my client and let them know, listen, we had a delay because I'm looking for some information. We put a request in for it. We're not going to have it till Thursday of next week. I'll be picking up your file Friday of next week. Is that okay? Just people want to know that everything's going to be okay. And if you are a good customer service person who actually cares about their customers, you're going to do just fine. Serve that shit out of your clients. Serve the hell out of them, because if you don't serve your customers, someone else will. The Americans get into business to make money. They are there. They're pounding the pavement. They want to make cash. With Americans, it's a complete revolution of goods. Get the goods in the store, get the goods on the shelf, put the sale price on, get them out the door, make the money, replace everything tomorrow. Canadians are, and the boxes are here. I'll do it tomorrow. Some customers in the store right now. But that's the way Canadians are. And when you're like that, you're going to lose. Just like this Richie's place is losing. And I'm going to make sure that they lose a lot, because that feminist stunt that was pulled on me, that really got inside. I don't dig that one bit. You're too aggressive for me to talk to you. Don't ever say that to me. That is the wrongest thing to say when we are in the middle of exchanging information, and all I'm asking for is for you to do one thing that's free, that will alleviate you of stress and me of stress. Just freaking do it. Don't argue with me, because here I am telling the whole world how horrible this Richie's flooring place really is. And I'm using them as an example for all Canadians out there to understand that you cannot let people like this walk all over you. You can't. So contractors, if you're a contractor in Canada and you do any contract work at all, nobody legally can give you a T4 slip or a T4A slip saying that you work for them when you do not work for them. So if you need to, you sue them. Sue them. It's tort fraud. All right. You can ask for money for that. You can ask for additional money called punitive damages to punish them. And you can even say, Your Honor, I'd like you to charge this person with fraud. Now, you probably won't get that one, but you'll get some money. So you got to pay attention to what's going on out there, everyone. No matter what, because we are in really awful economic times, especially in Canada, because the world is a mess, because most countries in the Western world have got massive amounts of unfettered immigration, bringing in the worst of the worst from around the world who have completely destroyed our culture and our way of life and so on. I get it. Everybody's stressed out. But instead of rising to the occasion, everyone's just fighting with each other. I'm not going to fight anyone. I'm not fighting tax people out there. I'm going to compete with them by offering a better product than they do and by fighting for the rights of my client base. Just like this store should have got their lawyer to say, hey, CRA, you cannot instruct us to break the law, and we are not going to lose any customers for you. So get lost. You can say these things. You've all heard me on the phone many times talking to auditors and various employees of the Canada Revenue Agency, telling them, like, guys, you got no power. We're not going to cooperate. Don't go to my client's place. You're going to get charged. We can say these things. But Canadians don't do that. Everybody in Canada would rather live in fear than just do that one little bit of work to make sure that you're not going to be screwed over. And that is to scrutinize everything and then call the perpetrator out who's harming you. Got to do it. No one's going to do it for you. Nobody. Okay, so let's have a quick peek here at some of your questions now, everyone, because I know there's some questions here. Canada has such potential but bad leadership. That's absolutely correct. But Canada also has a bad attitude. Canadians have had it too good for too long. That's one of the biggest problems here. Country was too prosperous, way too prosperous for its own good. From 1948 to 1994, money on every street corner, money everywhere. When the rest of the world was failing, Canada was succeeding. So Canadians got way too comfortable. You can't, decadence is not good for human beings. It's just not good. So I'm hoping that we never get to a point where we have nothing but leisure time, because human beings become worthless with leisure time. And we've seen now what's going on. Everybody's scrambling and just ripping each other off as opposed to trying to be better. All right. Is there a function for people to use with process to push forth accountability in terms of ministries? Yes, there is. We have to culminate as a team and file lawsuits and court injunctions against our politicians. Could you imagine if 1 million Canadians decided to collectively file individual lawsuits against one politician? Let's say Doug Ford, the Premier of the province of Ontario. If we had, well, there's 14.5 million people in Ontario, the province itself. What if 1 million, not even 10% of the population, filed a lawsuit against the guy individually? You'd bankrupt him just in the defenses. He'd have to spend over $100 million just filing defenses plus the legal fees. He'd be bankrupt. You could take his house, take his car, take his money. Yeah, we can do these things. There's a way to go to any courthouse anywhere in Canada and file criminal charges against these people. It's called laying up private information. Why do we not do these things as a society? No one's going to do it for you. So stand up, get off the couch, go get it done. Go do these things. Absolutely, we can. All right, I'm going to have a quick peek here at some of your questions. Okay. Am I live? Yes, I'm live. It is currently 10:15 p.m. Eastern time on the 18th of February. Thank you so much for asking. I see some questions here now in the Rumble room. Boris N65, you just ordered a 60-minute call. Excellent, Boris. You should be able to log into Calendly and pick your date and your time. So we'll be talking soon, I'm sure. We've got, what we got there? Real MGTOW. Kevin, have you guys been able to clear up your tax backup? Yeah. I mean, our tax backup is, we'll call it under control. We have a backup of, say, 2 weeks, but that's standard during tax season for any accounting company. We developed a brand new software package that's going to blow your mind, everybody. Imagine this. Well, actually, let's just work with the real numbers. So I'm going to do this for everybody right now. Let's do this right now. I'm going to bring up the income tax calculator. This is a website called Wealth Simple. I'm not even sure what they do, but it's a handy little toy to play with. All right. I know that you're not going to see it on TikTok or on Kick, but I will state what it is that I'm doing here. So let's turn this off. If you have a look here in the province of Ontario, if you make $100,000 a year, the federal tax is $14,000. The provincial tax is $6,986. Canada Pension Plan and EI, which is employment insurance, ends up being $5,105. So on 100K, you're losing $26,136. Now, what bothers me about this is when a corporation is filing taxes, what they've got to do is they have to take the CPP, the Canada Pension Plan, and the employment insurance, and they have to match that. That's right. So for every employee that you have making 100K, you have to match the Canada Pension Plan 100%, and you have to match the employment insurance by 140%. Wow. So the rough number, if you look at it right now, the rough number is going to be about $5,800 per person per year that you have to spend for nothing. It's infuriating is what it is, because the Canada Pension Plan is going to be empty by 2032. And EI, I don't know if any of you have ever tried to get employment insurance, but I can assure you, you're not getting it. So why are you paying into it? Oh yeah, so that third world invaders can get money for free to the tune of $5,000 a month. No, thank you, not interested. So what we do now is we've got a payroll company in place, and the payroll company, we charge no fee for this. And I mean no fee whatsoever. We're going to do your payroll for you. So let's say your pay cycle is absolutely every week. On Wednesday, what you'll do is you'll jump on our website and you'll put in, like, you have drop-down boxes, you know, John Smith, Steve, Richard, Paul, all these people in there. You put down what they made. It'll work out the CPP. It'll work out the EI. It'll work out the provincial and the federal tax. And it will tell you how much to pay us so that we can pay your staff member. All right. But you don't pay the matching on the CPP and the EI. You don't give it to us. We will pay your staff what they are owed, and then we will issue T4 and T4A statements at the end of the year to your staff member. And here's the other cool part. Your staff no longer work for you in this business model. They work for my company. So if you've got to fire somebody, I'm actually renting this person back to you for $1 per year. You can say, hey, Kev, or how about this one? Kevy, baby, looking good today. Listen, that guy, John Smith, that is currently on payroll, get rid of him. We want him fired. Okay, good. I make a phone call. John, listen, I hate being the bearer of bad tidings, but you got to go. You've been fired, and here's your severance pay. Here's your final paycheck. Thank you very much for your service, and good luck to you in the future. And this way, they cannot go to the labor board about you or you or you. They have to go to the labor board against me. And I can assure you, especially in the provinces of Alberta and Ontario, They don't want to deal with me because I drive them mental. I make phone call after phone call after phone call. We make offers, we make deals. I retract them. I make them again. I say stuff that doesn't make any sense. I'll send them in some cases. I'll go to deepseek.ai and I'll ask it to create a nonsensical email to do with my big toe up to 1 million words in length, please. And it'll do it. So I copy this 1 million word story about my big toe, which I'm sure is really not that interesting to read, and I'll copy and paste that in there. Now, and then I'll do it a second time. And then I'll ask DeepSeek to maybe change the story a bit and send them that. I hate the labor boards. So you want someone like me watching out for you, not breaking the law in any way, making sure that the law cannot be used against you because all the onus is on me. Laura Lee's asking, how do I pay you for a consultation? Head over to my website, KevinJJohnston.com. That is my name, Kevin J. Johnston, which is JOHNSTON.com. KevinJJohnston.com. You can grab a consultation there. As soon as you get past the initial screen, you'll go straight to Calendly, where you can pick your date and your time. And let's get rocking here. Let's fix your tax problems. All right, let's have a look at your other questions here. All righty. All right, guys, I don't really want to get into politics. All right, so for everyone who's asking me about politics, I'm staying out of it. I did my last political show on the first Tuesday of 2025. I don't care anymore. I had a lot of fun. I did a political podcast for 7 straight years. And we cost a lot of politicians a lot of money. I thoroughly enjoyed my time. But I'm a tax guy now. I'm enjoying taking money away from the Canada Revenue Agency and giving it back to the people. So don't call me Robin Hood because I don't look good in tights. Just call me, I don't know, call me a hate-filled maniac for hire. Because I am, when it comes to these CRA people, I am a maniac. I can't stand them. I hate them with all my heart. So I go to town on these idiots. And they don't like it. And they typically back down because they have absolutely nothing that they can do to stop me from doing what I do best, and that's irritating people. And my mother always used to tell me, son, you could irritate Jesus. And when I said thank you with a big smile on my face, that was not the response she thought she was going to get. But that is a compliment, and it is extremely true. What's the best province in Canada for business? Suppose it's like, well, what are you doing? If it's prostitution, it's British Columbia. If it's drugs, it's Quebec. If it's drugs, the second place one would be Ontario. If it's drugs, third place would be British Columbia. If it's drugs, fourth place would be Alberta. But if you're looking for which province has an economy that's growing, the only one is the province of Alberta in Canada. All the other ones are shutting down. Everyone's leaving. Everybody is leaving. Yeah. I do taxes for people in Quebec. And Quebec is unlike every other province in the country that works on admiralty law. Quebec works on civic law. And civic law means that the province can do whatever it wants. And they do. They do whatever they want, which means the province of Quebec has their own provincial taxes, which are ridiculously high in comparison to the rest of the country. And they've got such ridiculous rules about property tax and whatnot that nobody in Quebec is making money. So everyone's leaving. They're all going to Alberta. But if you're in Quebec and you want to do business in Quebec, what I would recommend is you contact me. I'll open up a numbered corporation or 2 or 3 for you in Ontario. You can still do business in Quebec, but just make sure that all your invoicing goes through the Ontario corporation. You don't want the province of Quebec being involved in your business. Filing a provincial tax return in Quebec is really stupid because they will not leave you alone. Not ever. They are ridiculous individuals. Am I still active in opening offshore accounts in Panama to protect people's money? Si, oui, Absolutely. Of course I am. I adore doing it. We've opened bank accounts now for well over 100 people, and they're all doing quite well. They're all quite happy with it. The answer is yes. All right. What do you do if CRA launched assisted compliance programs for a 2022 farm loss? I don't know what the assisted compliance program is, but what I can say is if you're running a farm, you should be losing money on paper. And that is what I do best. I make sure you lose money on paper. Your farm should lose money for 10 straight years on paper. So if anybody out there is on a farm or owns a farm and you want to get all your tax money back on that farm for the last 10 years, get a hold of this guy right here, okay? That is what I do. Am I in Toronto? Hell no. I was born in Toronto. I was raised right next door in Mississauga, but I despise Toronto. I don't like the roads. I don't like the architecture. Anything after 1960, I can't stand the architecture. I mean, the left wing nut jobs destroyed that place. And look at the mayor that you've got in there now. Olivia Chow is a Chinese communist, essentially a spy for communist China. And when I saw her dancing almost completely naked in some feather outfit to show the world how sensitive she is to the far left politics, I'm thinking, Canada, the only thing that's going to save you is revolution. A violent overthrow of your government is the only thing that'll save it. When you've got that type of trash in charge of the biggest city in the country. And when I say biggest, I mean biggest by a lot. It is more than double the size of Montreal, which is the next biggest city. Double the size. You can't have trash like that being the face of your city. But Canadians, you voted for her, and you're not throwing her out. So for me, the odds of me stepping foot inside of the city of Toronto again are zero. Zero. Unless, I know it's a joke, but I'm kind of partially serious. Unless some Kazakhstani terrorists showed up and said, hey, we got this nuclear weapon here. Here's the key. The battery still works. Would you like it? I say, well, sure. Just make sure that you can ship it to Front Street in Toronto, right? Beautiful. And I would clack it. I'd set the timer for 3 hours. I'd leave town. I know exactly what hill I would go to watch the mushroom cloud go up and just smile. I don't even smoke, but I'd crack out a stogie and I would just watch. I hate Toronto. I loved it as a kid. It was an incredible place in the 80s, even up to the early 90s. Now, it's just a dump. It is a dump. It doesn't matter that it's got big screen TVs everywhere. What does that matter? All it's doing is selling you stuff that you don't need. It's not like there's jobs in Toronto. It's not like it's a place you invest and make money. The condo market is completely dead in that place. Nobody can afford housing, and the taxes are the highest in the country by a lot when it comes to anything to do with the home. Food prices are 5 times the price they were in 1988 in Toronto. Why would you want to be there? Panama City, I'm in Panama City, the capital of Panama. The subway system here is better than Toronto, faster than Toronto, cleaner than Toronto, and it's only 35 cents to jump on the train. 35 cents a ride. Tap your credit card, walk through the gate, get on the train. No violence, no strung out drug users sleeping there, no homeless sleeping in there, nobody picking on you, no one throwing things at you, nobody crapping in the corner. There's none of that nonsense here. You pull that stunt in Panama, the cops will work you over. You know what I love about the cops here is that they actually are really pleasant people until you screw up. And if you screw up deliberately and they identify you as deliberately committing a crime, they break out the old tonfas, the billy club with the L shape, they'll crack you one. So don't be a criminal here. And I think Panamanians have got the message that it's not wise to be a crook here. And as a result, everywhere I go is safe. So Toronto, be damned. Not interested. All right. That's a good point, sweet guy. You're saying capital gains are 66%. That was actually not passed in the House of Commons. That was not passed in any legislature whatsoever, but the Canada Revenue Agency has chosen to do it anyway. Completely illegal. But if I'm your tax guy, there's no capital gains on anything that you do. I eliminate that capital gains garbage. It's gone. You got to get a hold of me. How do you save fees and taxes on the RRSP? I'm your tax guy. If I'm your tax guy, gone. I'm not going to tell you my secret because I'm the one that invented it, but it's legal. You want your RRSP taxes gone? Call me. What they're talking about there, folks, it's called the Registered Retirement Savings Plan. This was something that every TV network and radio station in the country before the internet was pushing on Canadians. I know because I fell for it too when I was a teenager, where they say, put some money into it every year, you get a tax break. And you can take all that money out when you retire. But what they didn't tell you was they'll tax it 48%. So you're just deferring taxes to your senior citizen years when you actually need the money the most. Yeah. And the other worst part of it is, everybody, is that the government tells you that it's for your own good. And that's the part that bothers me the most. Is that they're taking 48% of your retirement savings plan from you and telling you this is for your own good. It's good for you that we're doing this. You're coming close to retirement age. You've worked 60 years to have nothing. And now we're going to take 48% of what you've made, and it's good for you. No, it's not good for you. And I will get you back 100% of all of your RRSP contributions, so long as it used to be just the last year. I can go back 3 years now and get those for you. So get a hold of me if you want that money back. Do I have an office in Toronto? Yes, actually I do. My criminal lawyer and my corporate lawyer are in Toronto. So if you need to drop something off at one of my offices there, let me know. But I don't come to Toronto. God, man, no. Oh, God, I hate that city. No, you won't see me there. You'll see me in places like Seattle, Calgary, Bogota, Panama City, Mexico City, Cancun. You'll see me in not Port-au-Prince. I'm sorry. What's the other one? The capital. Oh, Nassau, the capital of the Bahamas. You'll even see me in Trinidad and Tobago. You'll see me in all these places because there's money in the cities I've just mentioned. But Toronto, nope. Keegan's asking, can I get your calendar link? Yeah, just my name, KevinJJohnston.com. KEVIN, middle initial J, last name Johnston, KevinJJohnston.com. Get a hold of me there, please. And the calendar link is all yours to pick yourself a time. Okay, Sweet Guy says, I'm 65 and I've watched many of the major metropolitan cities just deteriorate to absolute garbage. Correct. So have I. That's why I want nothing to do with Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal anymore, which is a shame because those were three amazing cities in the 80s, even the 90s. They were fabulous places to be. Now, no, forget it. Can't talk me into it. Is Panama safe for kids? Yeah. It's a very safe place, especially if you're a gringo. The cops here will protect the gringos because the gringos bring money. Yeah? Gringo, which means, North American. Actually, mostly it's either you're white or you're born in the United States or Canada or Europe and you speak perfect English. You're a gringo. So they'll treat you quite well here. I haven't filed since I have a sole proprietorship running since 2022. Carbon collection notice. All right. Sole proprietorships, you should never have those things, but I can fix the taxes and we got to get you into a numbered corporation so that we can avoid that craziness in the future. What if you just pulled the RRSP out and they took the tax off the top? Well, that's what that's what they do. It doesn't matter who you hold your RRSP, your lifts, your RIFs, or your GICs with. They always take the taxes and just give it to the CRA, whether you want them to or not. They just do it. When you ask why, because it's the government. You have to do it. That's how they sound. So that's why I'll get you back everything on the RSP, but it will be in the following tax season. So it won't be today. It'll be in the following tax season. But if anybody here pulled out their RRSPs in the last 3 years and you want that money back, you get a hold of me. I'll get it all back for you. Every penny. If I cash in Bitcoin, do I have to pay capital gains on money I got by mining? Okay, Dale, the whole point of crypto is that nobody knows you have it. There is no way for the CRA to know how much money you have in the bank and how much crypto you have, how many gold bars or silver bars or platinum bars or palladium bars that you have, or even how many houses that you own until you shoot your mouth off and tell them. So, Dale, if you've got crypto and you're making money in the mining game or the staking game, shh, say nothing. It's your money. Don't give it to them. However, Dale, you can use a crypto loss as a capital loss and do a huge write-off on that. That's when you can talk about crypto. And if they say, well, where's the money now? I don't know. Some guy named Muhammad stole it, right? So talk to me about that sometime. What would my charges against the bank be called for? Giving all my money to the CRA? Theft, fraud, conspiracy. There's one more. Theft over 5,000 and fraud over 5,000. Those are big ones. So yes, and I'm going to be teaching all of this. I'm going to have a course on this a little bit later this, or in March, I'm sorry, about how to file criminal charges. How does my company work? Quite well. I don't understand the question. Could you please rephrase that? Okay, Keegan, if you're having an issue with the Calendly link, then I'd like you to immediately please go to the contact form on my website, the KevinJJohnston.me website. Just give me the invoice number. I'll take care of it. I'll get you the link right after the show. All right. So thank you, Keegan. I do appreciate that. Why is Trudeau still talking crap? Because he can, and because he knows that no Canadians are going to do anything about it. That's why. Okay, Keegan. Yeah, you definitely got to get a hold of me, Keegan. Please do that. In fact, everybody write this down for Keegan so he can email me. It's freedomreport.ca@gmail.com. Email me right now with all your contact info, Keegan, and your phone number. I'm going to call you right after the show. Are Panamanians nice to Canadian people? Yeah. Oh, yeah, they certainly are. I was having a good laugh today with a friend of mine. We had this gorgeous waitress today. We had chicken wings that were like this big. It was awesome. And I just said to her through the Google Translator, "You're gorgeous and I want to marry you." So she just types back saying, "Okay, but you got to get me a ring right now." So, like I'm searching my pockets looking for a ring, and she's laughing, we're laughing the whole bit, and she's going to be cooking me dinner this coming Saturday. So, the ladies here are fabulous. People here talk to each other. People here have a good time. It is remarkable how easy it is just to strike up a conversation with somebody. Mostly through Translator. I've got these really wicked earbuds now that I stick in. I give them one, and it translates in real time. Yeah, it's like the Babel fish from the Bible. It's amazing. People in Panama are awesome, guys. You'd love it down here. I love it down here. Okay, Clap. If you're talking about the banks breaching fiduciary duties and breach of trust, that's not a crime. That's civil. You can sue them for that. So you certainly can do so. And you should. What should I do? The bank account has been frozen by the CRA for the last 3 months. Mr. Fix-It, I have to redo your taxes for the last 10 years, get your tax balance to zero for you, and they have no choice but to unlock the account. That's the only way. You can appeal and fight in court, but it's ridiculous. Let me just redo your taxes. Get her done. There we go. And KD, you're saying pay your debt? Why? That's rude. Why? Okay, let's cover that for a second here, everybody. You all know that I used to be a journalist. And you all know that I've been to 3 major war zones during my journalism period. You all know that I went to the Myanmarian war zone and I went into Bangladesh. I had to go with armed soldiers. We had to carry machine guns, knives, grenades. I went into a war zone so dangerous that the soldiers told me through a translator that if you see 4 or fewer attackers, throw the grenade at them. 5 or more, hold it to your head and let it go off, because if they catch you, they will cut everything off of you and feed it to you. That's how gross these terror groups were. And the Canadian government is funding all that nonsense. As gross as it is, I'll just tell you the truth here, because I, to this day, cannot get the images out of my head. 2018 is when I was in that war zone. That's 7 years ago. 7 years ago, and I still remember all the dead bodies that I saw in the fields, dead children, dead women, dead babies, slaughtered with knives that the Canadian government's paying for with CRA's money. Don't you ever come on my channel and tell someone to pay their CRA debt. Don't ever do that again. You're gone if you do. Do not pay the CRA anything. The Canada Revenue Agency right now is going out of its way to make sure that terror groups around the world have more than enough money to slaughter innocent people everywhere. I'm the only one that went to that war zone. The only one. There was not a single journalist that went to the Myanmarian war zone. They're not brave enough to do it. I was there. I saw this. I filmed this stuff. There was a court order put on me by the Canadian government saying that I could not release that footage. Well, guess what? I brought that footage with me here to Panama, and there's nothing stopping me from releasing it. In fact, I'm testifying against the Canadian government in Bogota, Colombia this September, and we're going to play all that footage. I'm not going to watch it. Look at this. Look at this. When you see that stuff, it never leaves. And I know that my country of origin is the one paying for death all over Asia and all over Africa and all over the Middle East. Don't ever tell anyone to pay their Canada Revenue Agency debt. I'm telling all of you, do not pay the Canada Revenue Agency. It's not like it's going to Canadians. It's going into the hands of killers and pedophiles and terror groups all over the world. So, you know what? I'm going to block that idiot. Just get the hell out of here. Nobody wants you here. Anyway, getting back to taxes. Do you have any representation office in Alberta that can do my taxes, or how does that work? D. Carly, we do everything remote now. You know, there's absolutely no reason whatsoever to have these huge brick and mortar places. Yeah, we have offices, but our offices are small. You know, they're like garages, you know, maybe 400 square foot places. They have enough room for desks, chairs, filing cabinets, and 2 or 3 people to work in them. Everything that we do is on screens. I've got the laptop here. I've got the phone here. I've got a second phone here. I've got a third phone over here. And I've got 2 monitors on a wall in front of me here where I can see everybody at the same time. Like, we're all connected all day long. We don't need it. And it's really, really, really efficient for me that way, because I don't have to be in Canada, a place you all know that I couldn't wait to leave. So I just can't stand the politics there. With me being in Panama, I am calm, I'm cool, I'm collected, I'm healthy, better diet. Look how clean my skin is just by eating food that there's no drugs in my system at all. I don't need all kinds of makeup and whatnot to keep this expression going. It's a matter of good food. I'm just healthy. My blood pressure is perfect. My blood counts are perfect. Yeah, I'm happy all the time. Why would I want to be there? I'm going to do everything remote. So get a hold of me on the website and we'll take care of all your taxes there. My CPA is in Ontario. My lawyers are in Ontario. Some of my team are in Vancouver and some of my team are in Alberta. You don't need to all be in the same place at the same time. It would be nice, but it's completely unnecessary. What does it cost for you to write a letter to the CRA? There's a couple different price points on that. It's either $350, $500, or $950, depending on the complexity of the case. So get a hold of me if you want that done. All right. Let me just check the Facebook chat rooms here. All right. What do I think of Vancouver? What, the city? That would be an all-day thing. I'm not going to bother answering that one. just let you know that I'm extremely disappointed in its downfall. It's not worth going to at all. Alrighty. Question. As you know, I just finished getting out of a bankruptcy. Does my bankruptcy guy have to file my taxes this year since he finalized it all? No. And if the bankruptcy wasn't huge, like millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, we could actually reverse the bankruptcy. Bankruptcies are not the first choice. They're always the last choice. There's so many ways to win with taxes and debt that bankruptcy should always be the absolute last thing, because it is a nuisance to get through. But anyone can do your taxes afterwards. Hopefully, I'm going to be your tax guy. Okay, here's a good point. I asked Grok on X if I have to, but and it says no, but my bankruptcy guy says they have to. I signed their document that says they would do it. Okay. Every trustee and bankruptcy professional in Canada is a lying loser. Stay away from them. They don't work for you. They work for the CRA. So it's a bad idea for anybody to get involved with these people. Just don't do it. And as for consumer proposals, bad idea. Why? Because it doesn't improve your credit rating and you still owe the money. The idea of doing something like this is not to owe money. But in a consumer proposal, you still owe the money. You're still stressed out. No. You don't do consumer proposals at all. They're a scam. They're a total scam. Absolutely total scam. What is the Smith maneuver? Something that doesn't work as well as you think it does. And that would be an extremely elongated thing to talk about here. It's not something that I can answer, even in the last 10 minutes that we have here. Do I do living trusts? Yes. Here's the way that we do it. On the low level here, you have numbered corporations. Corporation A owns your house, holding company. Corporation B has all your funding in it. Corporation C, cars and property. Corporation D, do business in that corporation. And all those corporations should be held under this one here, which is going to be your umbrella corporation. And then the umbrella corporation is owned by the family trust. So it has to filter down. And when you build a family trust, start with the corporations at the bottom, then move them into the umbrella corp. Then we move everything into the family trust. You can do it the opposite way, but it's a lot more work. There's far too much prep work to get that done. It's better to just do it piece by piece by piece. All right. What should you do besides a consumer proposal? Well, if it's taxes, hire me and I'll get your tax bill to zero. If it's credit cards, we can always negotiate a better price for them. Or if it's credit cards, knowing that you can't do prison time, and if you don't care about the credit card ever being useful again, you can simply just walk away from it if you like. There's nothing stopping you from doing so. Consumer proposals means that your credit cards will no longer work, your lines of credit are no longer accessible, and you still owe the money. It's positively worthless to do one. The trustees get paid by the government when you do a consumer proposal. So stay the hell away from those people. They're crooks. Do you have courses or classes we can take to learn how to set up and run corporations if we wanted to do business that way? Petra, yes. Starting March, the last Wednesday of every March at 8 p.m. Eastern time, all year long, which is going to be 5 p.m. Pacific time and something like 7 p.m. Eastern time, Atlantic time. It's going to be right in the middle so everyone can be there for it. It's going to be a membership fee of $25 a month where you can come in and learn this stuff. It's going to be a private closed circuit meeting where everybody's on Zoom. You listen to what I say for an hour, and then we have a discussion, questions. That's how we're going to be doing it. Also, we're looking into the law right now. Right? I've got a meeting at the lottery head office, the Lotteria office here in Panama, to find out if it's legal for me to give away money to Canadians and Americans from Panama. We think it is. And the 3 people I've spoken to at the Lottery Corporation here in Panama say it is, but we got to make sure. Because if it is, everybody who joins up for that $25 per month fee is going to get a chance to win cash. All right, we're going to start giving away cash on this show come September. So we have big plans for what we're doing here. That my good fortune is your good fortune. I'm having a blast doing what I'm doing in the tax realm here for Canadians and for some American folks as well. So we're going to give back by giving away a bit of dough. Here we go. Can I assist you in British Columbia? I can assist you everywhere. It's just that Quebec is excessively difficult in some cases. There are some things in Quebec I can't fix because Quebec is a messed up place. But everywhere else, 100% yes. Am I able to set up a trust for crypto assets and capital gains? Yes, but you still should not be talking about crypto anyway. If you've got it, shh. So long as you shh forever, they don't know you have it. And if they call you and say, well, we're going to audit you, you call me and I get rid of the auditor and I ban them from communicating with you ever again. And if they do communicate with you, we charge them criminally. Just if you have crypto and gold and silver and stocks and bonds and debentures, and if you've got dividends coming in from investments all over the world, just shut up about them. Stop talking about what you have and you're going to be fine. All right. Keep it. It's yours. The CRA didn't earn it. You did. Alrighty. Next. All right. So Petra, yeah, you'd love Panama. This place is absolutely remarkable. I'm excessively happy here. D. Carly says, my wife received CERB in 2019, didn't do our taxes for 4 years. Now we've got huge penalties. Okay, D. Carly, I'll just redo your taxes for those 4 years. The reason that they put penalties on is because you didn't do your taxes, and they know that if they just guess and throw a big number at you, that's going to be your incentive to get your taxes done. So let me do your taxes, and I'll get your tax bill to zero, because that's what I do. If we need to cash out crypto, what do we do with it? Take the money and run. Shh, quiet. Don't say a word. How do you think the CRA is going to know you cashed out crypto? Do you think that they are looking at everybody's crypto accounts? Do you think that the Canada Revenue Agency even understands what crypto is and how it works? They're idiots. They hired 30,000 diversity, equity, and inclusion losers from crappy third world countries with intelligence quotients of less than 75. These people know nothing. Keep your crypto and keep quiet about it. Okay, just checking here. Thank you. How soon could you set up a consultation with me? Right now. Just go in and buy one right now, and Calendly will kick in and tell you what dates I've got available. My name, KevinJJohnston.com. There you go. Bobster, even if the exchanges tell the CRA about it, if I'm your tax guy, they're not going to do anything about it. Now, I know how to get rid of all this capital gains nonsense out there on crypto, houses, on gold, on even collector cars or modern art or whatever it is you're buying. If there's going to be a capital gain on there, I'm getting rid of it for you. The CRA can't stop me from doing what I'm doing because it's all legal what I do. All I'm doing is using their own rules to defeat them. And they don't like that because they throw all these clauses of the Excise Tax Act that they're relying on. So I throw back 3 times the number, all of them that suit me. You know, too bad. So sad. I need to hire you permanently for my personal taxes. How do I get in touch? Bobster, my personal website. Yeah, don't communicate with me on social media, please. I don't have time. But I've got a video that's just about to break 400,000 views on TikTok. And this video has something crazy like 950 comments on it. At least it did this morning when I checked it out. I haven't read a single comment. I don't even know what's there. I don't have time to go through social media. So hit me on my website, please, KevinJJohnston.me. That one's got the contact form for you, and you can simply communicate with me there. I'll get back to you as quickly as I possibly can. If I buy my house, am I going to have to pay capital gains? Not if I'm your tax guy. Absolutely not. There's no such thing as capital gains if this guy is your tax guy. Alrighty. And we're down to our last 4 minutes here, everybody. So I'll take a couple of more quick questions here, and then we'll draw our conclusions for the night and part ways for another week. As always, this show is going to repeat itself on Thursday night. It will repeat itself live all the way through until the following Tuesday. So on Rumble, you can always watch the repeat of this show. It plays for four straight days after we're done. And for those who miss the old podcast, the old political podcast I used to do on Wednesdays, two of my co-hosts from the old show have decided to create their own show. It's called The Lounge. That's every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. They talk for an hour, maybe two, about politics. And one of them, Ed Janusek, is in Argentina right now. And he told me that I would need to deliberately blind myself before I go because the women are so beautiful that you might walk in front of a bus not paying attention. Good for him. He seems very happy in Argentina. There we go. All righty. Thank you, Keegan. I appreciate that. D. Carly says, we've done our taxes and now we're paying a $35,000 bill to the CRA. Can I help? Yes. I'll get rid of it. I'll get rid of that tax debt. It's not even a debt. It's just a number they made up. Right? That's the thing with the CRA. They just make stuff up. Assessments and reassessments. It's a guess. It's a wild guess. They don't know what you owe. They just lie to you. It's all that they do. All right, everyone. We're going to draw our conclusions here. We're down to our last 2.5 minutes. In Canada, everything that you put on a tax return is voluntary. It's completely voluntary. The only mandatory thing that you have to do in Canada, and even that is only a suggestion, is you fill out a tax return. If you don't know your numbers, fine. Put your name and social insurance number at the top, sign the bottom, don't put any numbers on it, and mail it in. And now you have met your legal obligations. The CRA will assess it, but then you contact me and we can appeal it, and then we can do your taxes. All right? We want to make sure that each and every one of you knows your rights. And you've got the right to remain silent, so don't talk to the CRA. Have me become your tax guy and your legal agent so that I talk to them and not you, because they're always fishing for information. That's just how it works. The CRA knows nothing about you until you tell them, because like I said earlier, they've got a bunch of morons working for them. They are not intelligent people at all. In fact, they all hate each other who work for the CRA because they've taken 100 different cultures and threw them all in the same offices and said, here you go, get along. Well, we know that that doesn't work. So let them argue with each other and let us do your taxes for you so that we can get you back everything that they've taken from you. All right, so get a hold of me, folks. Joseph, thank you for the rose. Greatly appreciate that. My name's Kevin J. Johnston, everybody. I am formerly a journalist, and I am now Canada's #1 tax guy. Yes, I am Canada's biggest mouth. This yap never stops moving, and it always is going to tell you the truth as I know it to be about taxes, politics, money, finance, commerce, the whole 9 yards. Yes, I do live in Panama City now because I can't stand communist Canada. And yes, all of you can live a very good life here on an extremely low budget. This country has been very good to me. It's a beautiful place. I'll not be leaving anytime soon on any particular permanent basis. You got to check it out for yourselves. All right, everybody. This is the Tax and Money Show, episode number 51. Every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern.